Normally when I have the opportunity of interviewing somebody, I'm usually talking about movies or sports or something of that nature. Today, we're going completely different. We're going to be talking about getting away. We're going to be talking about relaxing. We're going to talk about the great outdoors. I'm very excited to be joined today by Aaron Markel. He is the co-owner of the Hammond Hill Eco Resort and Wilderness Retreat. Aaron, how are you today?
I'm great, Keith. Thank you for having us on.
Yeah, thanks so much for being here. So the first question I have to ask you before we get into your establishment is what was basically the inspiration behind this? I mean, you've got is it about just over 60 acres of property. Somebody doesn't invest in 60 acres of property if they're not passionate about the wilderness and that. So I'm very interested to know where that passion came from and the inspiration behind it.
Well, we saw this great 62-acre parcel of land that was immediately adjacent to the Hammond golf course. And we took a long look at the different options that we could do to kind of make it something. And we actually walked it during winter, which I can tell you when it's a forest is actually very challenging when you have snow to navigate and you're knee deep in snow and whatnot. And as the further we walked into it, the more we realized like there's something beautiful and amazing here. And we kind of started to brainstorm on what we could do. And because we're attached to a golf course, our zoning is commercial tourism. So it's a very wide zoning. We looked at RV parks, we looked at different types of accommodations, and then we really looked at what makes sense in terms of how we need to build to go forward. And we realized that an eco car kind of gives us everything we already have. Like that's the beauty of it. We already had the eco part. All we had to do is bring in the park. Where a lot of people have to work the other way and have all this land and have to plant all these trees. In 40 years, you have a park. So we started with what we had, which was an amazing, diverse forest, a very healthy ecosystem, and we worked backwards. One of the things we did when we first broke ground, so we broke ground during COVID, which was a challenge. So if you can picture 15 guys and girls all wearing masks in the middle of summer, it was awful.
Yeah.
But we did what we had to do. We moved along, and as we were developing campsites and looking at different accommodations, my message to my team was, you guys go out and find places in this park where you would want to camp, where we should set up houses. So the team was super involved, and we managed to build like 15 campsites without cutting down a single tree, because we just looked for areas that already maybe had a tree fallen or a little bit of a larger opening. And we kind of built within our system. We built within nature so that we're only like, 500 meters from the main parking lot, but you can't see or hear a single thing. Right. So it's just this kind of re-envisioning of what we could do and what a campground should be. Right. I like Algonquin Park is kind of inspirational type stuff for that. So you have an amazing, passionate team. We film everything we do, as you probably know. And one of the things we did was we empowered people to say, like, help us build this. It's not my project, it's our project. And when you do that with people and they're out there working in the woods and moving things, and it's a really fun, it was a very challenging year, but it was a great year and everyone took a lot out of it. So
Wow, that's incredible. Now, of course, you were not immune to the derecho, to the storm that hit Ottawa last year. Tell me about the impact of that.
So the derecho storm, I always call it the dark day of Hammond Hill. We lost, it's somewhere between 4 and 5,000 trees in approximately 5 minutes. Yeah, if you can picture if you can imagine a bowling ball kind of going down a lane and just literally taking out everything in its path, and it's actually, to be honest, it's a little bit worse than that, because what it did is the derecho storm is a very interesting storm because it actually snapped most of the trees at about 10 feet. So not only did we lose all the trees, but the value in trees, when we went to try and sell them or give them away, the value is in the lower 10 to 20 feet. And because they were snapped, no one wanted them. So we have all these broken trees all over the property. And now, for the last almost year and a half, it's been almost a full-time job with chainsaws and equipment and, trying to find the right people. We luckily were able to send a lot off to some pulp mills. We were able to give some away to people that had wood shops and stuff like that. But 4,000 trees is a lot to get rid of, because it wasn't just Hammond Hill, to be fair. It wasn't our property that was the sole, company or area that was hit. A lot of people had a lot of damage. So it was very challenging. We lost 1, 2, 3, 5 accommodations. We lost equipment. I still have tools I haven't found because they're either buried or at this point they're probably gone. Really, really tough. It was At the end of it, it was very close for us. We were teetering on the edge of, do we continue, or is this just something that we should possibly shut down? And for those of you who don't know, that insurance is an amazing tool, but insurance really doesn't cover things like this. Acts of nature, they don't really cover tree damage. So they did cover the accommodations that we lost. That was great, but that wasn't the hard part. The hard part is the recovery, the cutting of the trees. The provincial government has a fund that's coming out, but the money won't be released till sometime in March 2024. So that's like 2 years post incident. So as great as there's some of the stuff that's out there is, one of the main things that kept us moving forward, myself personally, is I'm a construction guy. It's kind of been my team and my people that have been doing all this with the volunteers. So this part's hard for me. Excuse me. After the storm, we had so many people come out, strangers I'd never met, showed up with chainsaws and just said, "What can we do?" And that kind of stuff is what, that's the kind of stuff that kind of keeps you going forward, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, there's just something beautiful about the resilience of the human spirit. So I've checked out your website. I've checked out a lot of different material. One thing is that there are so many different choices. So I want to get into what people can expect when they visit. And I have to tell you something. Doing research on this, my vocabulary is expanding because I'm learning about words like yurt and jupe and words that I haven't heard before. Yeah, of course, words that I haven't heard before. So I'm interested. I know there's a lot of different options that your guests have when they come. So I was hoping you could speak to that in terms of like what it's like to experience Hammond Hill.
Yeah, so the vision casting originally was that you would be able to stay on our property 5 nights in a row in 5 different accommodations and have 5 completely different experiences. So one night you could stay in a Mongolian yurt. We had them imported directly from Mongolia, handmade, hand painted by one family, a family of 7 that lives in Mongolia and makes these things. Not a single mechanical fastener, all held together by tension and fabric. Beautiful. I'm actually a wedding officiant. The first wedding I did was in one of them, so I just love them. We have traditional campsites that everyone's aware of. We have what they call jupes. We're the first campground outside of the US to have them. Jupe is picture SpaceX and Tesla getting together and getting all crazy and making these really big, beautiful, at night solar powered tents, for lack of a better term. Really comfortable beds. They have fans. They have the ability for people to run a hair dryer, things like that. We also have what we call pioneer homes. We worked with some professors and looked at how we could build historical homes. So we wanted people to step back in time and stay in a home that would feel like it was from 200 years ago. So inspirational stuff. Upper Canada Village is kind of the idea behind that you could actually stay the night in. So we have 3 or 4 of those. And then what we're really excited about, and what we just launched, and actually we have our first guest staying this Saturday, we will have Canada's first tiny home village. So we have a village right now of 19 tiny homes in different stages of construction. And these tiny homes are built on trailer chassis. They are very small, so they're about 140 square feet. They sleep 4. There's a Murphy bed. There's a full kitchen. There's a full bathroom, a huge deck, big gazebo, fire pits. So for people that should get outside, that should kind of come out and experience the park, but maybe aren't as adventurous as sleeping in a tent, such as myself, this is the way to do it, right? You still have the opportunity to come out and enjoy. We have 3 lakes, a couple of ponds, the golf course, beach volleyball, kids play area, horseshoes. You can still come out and enjoy all that. But at night, if you really want to, turn on the air conditioner, listen to some music and watch TV. So we always wanted to have that feeling where we didn't need to be a traditional campsite. We didn't have to be this. And actually, I almost forgot we have 2 Airstreams. So 50-year-old Airstreams that have been renovated in the last couple of years. So that's 5, 6 different things that you could stay in and pick from, because if you have family outings is a great example. So a family outing or a retreat, not everyone is of one ilk. They don't all want to stay in campsites. So we just thought when building it, it's like, well, why settle on one thing when we can build 5 or 6 things? That seems more interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And the cliche definitely applies here. There's literally something for everybody, which is great to hear.
Yes.
Now, one of the things I also like is the fact that you're developing a community in the sense of, so I'm not a huge camper myself. I've dabbled, so I checked off the bucket list. Camping in a tent one night. I've done that. I've done the staying at friends' trailers multiple times. But one of the things that I've noticed is in those instances, it's usually you're kind of like with the group of people that you're with. What I've seen that you're doing here is you're kind of bringing people together, like with nature walks and like your beach volleyball and things of that nature. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, so our yurt village is a perfect example. So we have three Mongolian yurts, a couple of canvas yurts, and at the center of the village, we have a wash station, and we built a big communal deck where we put a free fire pit, we put barbecues. We built this during COVID. So part of the inspiration was like during COVID, we were all told to stay apart. That was the entire messaging for, better part of almost 3 years.
Mhm.
And we realized as we were exiting COVID, we said, well, like, let's call these things villages because I think that inspires people to want to be like villagers, which is to get together, eat together, walk together, play together. So a lot of what we have done is to try and set these up so that as you're at the jupe sites, for example, we have communal areas that people can congregate. And I think that's really important because people are designed to be that way. We're built to be around each other. So one of the amazing things that's happened by building this, and I spend a lot of evenings there and see people and we chat, is people are making a lot of friends. So it's actually happening very organically by just presenting an offering and people are getting together and talking about their experience. And I see it almost every night. Every Saturday we have an open mic. We have an open we call it Stars and Guitars. So we open to the public, we bring in different acts, and it's live acoustic music played at our beer garden. So it just that idea of being together and getting back in, with nature and everything, it's so inspirational for me. It's probably my favorite part about what we're doing.
And your site is open year round as well.
Yes. Yeah. So a couple things that are interesting is that most campgrounds, I mean, they're seasonal, right? So you're open in the spring, you're closed in the fall. And we recognize, well, there's a couple of things that are in our benefit. We are literally immediately adjacent to the Skidoo path. So snowmobiles come right past our land. And so we cut a line right off the Skidoo path. So you can come to the Welcome Center, you can have a beer, you can get by the fire, you can stay the night. So we're only two accommodations in Ottawa. The Brook Street Hotel and Hammond Hill are the only two that can accept snowmobilists for the night. So wow. I thought that's really important. People like to take these big, robust, long trips. The Quebec market has done this correctly. They have lots of these accommodations spread up all along. Ontario has not. We're way behind. So we knew that was going to be in our advantage because we have so many lakes and ponds. We have a natural skating rinks. The tiny homes are full service. They're heated year round. Our yurts are heated. And we thought, why not do the same thing in summer that we can do in winter? Because when people in winter, they still want to have fires and they still want to do all the same stuff you can do in the summer. It's just different offerings. We host the cross-country snowshoe provincial race this year. I think it's going to be federal. So there's cross-country skiing, snowshoeing. There's as much stuff to do in the winter as there is in the summer. And that's what I think makes us really unique. And it continues that eco messaging, right? So in the fall, you have the leaves change. And then as you get into kind of Christmas, you have the snows fall. So the park is continually evolving and changing. And again, that staycation model changes a little bit depending on the season. And why shouldn't it? Why can't we offer the same thing in winter that we offer in summer?
No, absolutely. Definitely sounds like you guys have a lot of amazing, fun things going on there. I'm looking forward to checking it out personally. I want to be respectful of your time, and I want to thank you again for coming on and telling us so much about it. It wouldn't be a Keith Weeder interview if we didn't drift into a little thing I like to call rapid fire. These questions are meant to be nothing more than fun. And this is a different type of interview, but I'm not going to, take away your opportunity of playing in this because I'm sure you've been dying for this moment all morning. So here we go. First of all, Aaron, have I told you about what any of these questions are going to be?
Not yet.
All right, buckle up. Here we go. The first question, it doesn't matter who I'm talking to. It is always going to be, Aaron Markel, what is your favorite movie of all time? And if you can't give me one, I'll take a top three.
Braveheart.
Braveheart, love it. Okay. Everywhere I turn and I'm looking up information on this, I am told that you are the co-owner. Who was the other co-owner, or do they remain silent?
Brad Karche.
Yeah, okay. What is the coolest thing about your job?
The people I get to work with every day.
Yeah, nice. What is the biggest piece of feedback, compliment, what have you, that you get from the people that visit Hammond Hill?
That they love it and they want to book and come back again.
Love that. Now, again, I'll do my research. I've seen multiple interviews, multiple YouTube clips of yourself. I'm curious now. When is the last time you left the house without wearing a baseball hat?
Couldn't remember.
Yeah.
No idea.
Okay. I know that you traveled quite a bit through your upbringing. What was one of your favorite places that you've had the opportunity of visiting?
I love the Horn of Africa. I lived in Ethiopia. It was probably the most beautiful place I've ever been.
Nice. And my last question. There are so many different things to check out at Hammond Hill, but for somebody coming, what is one of the things you would say is the must thing that you'd have to do? Like one of your favorite amenities at Hammond Hill?
I would say the nature walk that brings you to the back lake and make the loop. It's beautiful. It's in the trees are amazing. You have to experience it to see it.
Love it, love it. Thank you so much for the time. I'm going to obviously put this in the description, but where can people find out more about Hammond Hill?
So hammondhill.ca, we're on Instagram, Facebook, all the socials. We try and post everything. Everything we record is out there for the public. We record once a week and try and involve people in our experience and how the thing is developing and developing. So you can find out all about the derecho and what happened to us, and you can see what that looked like by following the videos.
Excellent, excellent. Well, listen, continued success with it. Thank you so much for taking the time today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Keith.